Welcome to K2 Disrupts Episode 2, where we talk about IoT. I'm Ken Chung, VP of Growth at K2 Digital.
I'm Martin Byrne, Head of Digital Innovation.
I don't need to speak about why this is overhyped. When you have your oven, your fridge, and light bulbs connected to the internet, and everyone's calling that Internet of Things, I do think this is a time where K2 Disrupts needs to cut through the hype.
Most people's experience with IoT, though, has been a domestic experience. First, we saw Nest, the thermostat control. Google bought that for $3.2 billion. And they've been adding a whole pile of technologies. Then we started seeing things like Sonos, the music system that actually creates a separate network in your house. And most recently, the next level of consumer IoT is Amazon's Echo device, which actually brings external technologies like Amazon's artificial intelligence agent, Alexa, into your house. But a lot of the hype around IoT has been about consumer.
Yeah, and in the consumer front, we talk about that connected home, that smart home, where as you walk in through the front door, it auto unlocks, doves come down from the ceiling, the lights turn on, your home system in your cave auto reconfigures. But quite honestly, as a techie, even as a geek, I go, really, is that smarter than, hey, I want to turn on the light, wait, hold on to my phone, press a button, wait for the light to turn on. Why don't I just go turn on the light? And I think that's where the hype has kind of gone into the trough of disillusionment, and we really need to talk about where the applications lie that we can actually make an impact on people's lives. And I think that's where when we talk about enterprise applications of IoT, things start to get really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 5 years, we've seen about $7.5 billion invested into IoT. But early on, about 2012, less than 20% of it was what was called IIoT, industrial IoT. But in 2016, more than 45% of new investment in IoT development was industrial IoT, because companies are beginning to figure out some really amazing utilizations of it right now. There's lots going on. We first started seeing it with asset tracking and asset management, keeping track of your trucks, things moving through your facilities, technology assets, managing your data center. But then things started getting more sophisticated. We started to see the actual facilities themselves connected to IoT. People realizing, well, if I can manage my thermostat in my house, I should manage the thermostat in my factory, and building those out. But what's really been interesting is now how organizations are bringing it together. Not so long ago, I worked with an organization that had a 14-acre printing facility. Lots of lights are needed to illuminate a place like that, but at any given time, there aren't a lot of people in there. By adding IoT to all the lights and adding sensors, they were able to figure out when people were in different parts of the factory and when they should turn lights on and off. And that actually gave them two things. One, huge savings on their utility costs, but secondarily, they took that data and were able to develop usage patterns inside the facility and start optimizing the traffic flow in the entire space.
When we start to look at commercial applications of this, it actually gets really interesting if you collide AI with consumer level use of IoT devices. So if you think about a wearable like a Fitbit and having health information data, or if you think about telematics in cars, you can actually change the way insurance is being underwritten, because you can reduce the risk by knowing how much this guy's on a treadmill or how long I'm on a bike on the weekend, but more importantly, how safely or unsafely a guy like me drives. And when we start to look at that at an industrial scale across the enterprise, if we're looking at servers and instrumenting them, if we look at supply chain and instrumenting that, add in AI intelligence to talk about failure, risk, the ability to look into trends in terms of how healthcare is moving and how your health is moving at massive scale. I don't think there's been another time where the data has been cleaner, where organizations can bring together these technologies cheaper, and where AI and machine learning that we talked about in episode 1 has been more accessible to companies as well. But the same challenges we had in episode 1 actually come into this episode as well. Organizations are struggling to figure out how to, in a bite-sized manner, adopt this technology, make it into a program, get it out there. I think we've seen some great examples with Vitality, a program in health informatics and insurance. But I think there's plenty of space for this kind of work to be done both by K2 Digital and our partners out there in the wider market.
IoT data is fast and furious because you have hundreds, possibly thousands of sensors in a situation that are generating data every few seconds, every few milliseconds. You definitely have to have an infrastructure ready for that, which means you have to have a roadmap. How you're going to structure your facility, how you're going to structure your data flow, what applications you're going to piece together, because you need it to line up, because it flows like a fire hose. Even more importantly, you need to make sure that you figured out how people are going to interact with this in your organization. The user experience from the administration and operations side is just as important as the user experience side on a commercial or marketing side website. Make sure that people can see what's happening and utilize it.
Yeah, so if you have a project that's thinking about rolling out IoT at scale and you're worried about the business model, the taxonomy of how to do it, or how to clean the data and run analytics and AI machine learning against it, reach out to myself or Martin or anyone at the K2 Digital team, because we'd be really excited to hear from you. So that wraps up our episode 2 of K2 Disrupts, and we look forward to episode 3.